All about xerophytes, and xerophytes are plants that have adaptations that allow them to live in very dry and hot conditions where there's very little water. An example of a xerophyte would be a cactus, which I've tried to draw there. It's a cactus. And xerophytes have a few adaptations that make them able to live in the dry conditions, and in an exam it might ask you to talk about xerophytes and refer to some adaptations that they have. These questions will probably be in a section in the exam all about water potential as well, because it involves a lot of that. So here are some examples of the adaptations. So xerophytes have a very thick, waxy cuticle on the outside of the plant, so on the very outside of the cells. And this is waterproof, so it prevents a lot of water loss by transpiration, which you'll learn about as well in biology. And here are a few more specific adaptations. So the leaves of a cactus are spikes, and they're actually the leaves, and they are rolled up into cones, and they're very stiff spikes. And on the inside of the cones there are actually hairs, and the hairs are used to trap air pockets in the leaf, and it creates what's called a local humidity inside the leaf, and that actually increases the water potential outside of the stomata. So the actual water potential gradient is reduced because the water potential on the outside of the stomata, so in the air, in the leaves, is very similar to what's inside the plant. So it actually reduces the water potential gradient so that less water is lost by transpiration, which you'll learn about in osmosis. That covers that as well. Also, the xerophytes have sunken stomata. So you should know what stomata are. They are the openings on the leaf that allow air to come in and out of the plant. And the ones in a xerophyte are actually sunken, so they're very deep down. And this will actually stop the dry air, so the dry wind that has very little water, it stops it reaching the stomata, so that the water potential gradient won't reach it, meaning that water won't leave the plant by transpiration. Because if the water potential is lower outside of the stomata, the water will leave the plant by transpiration. If the dry air can't reach the stomata, then the water won't leave the plant. So that's another adaptation. And the last one, the xerophytes have very long and very deep roots. It's a kind of obvious adaptation, and they are aiming to seek out water as far as possible. So that's another adaptation, and that was xerophytes.